Well, hi, and thanks for stopping by the Pellets and Pistons Airgun channel. Now, if you didn't tune in last week, you missed part one of a two-part series where we're rebuilding a Diana Model 34 air rifle. Beautiful, beautiful rifle. We're just giving her a little tender loving care, and we're going to put her all back together again today after we finish the job, and put her across the chronograph, and we'll compare the numbers that we get compared to the numbers that we had before we started the job. So this ought to be a good one, folks. I want to thank you for stopping by the Pellets and Pistons Airgun channel. Stick around and we'll get right to it. Okay, so last week we left off after we installed these buttons, and now it's time to fit the buttons to the receiver. We want a nice snug fit, but we don't want it so tight that it's going to impede the action of the piston sliding back and forth. We want a nice smooth glide on that piston, but we don't want any metal-to-metal contact, which is why we're going to go ahead and use these buttons in the first place. That looks a lot better. So the three buttons have been installed and they're fitted to the action. Now it's time to reinstall the new piston seal. This one I tried to do cold and it was not hearing it, so I've got some water that I boiled up in the microwave. So that water is very hot. It's just below boiling point. We'll wrap that piston in a rag because the piston is also very hot. And we'll set about trying to reinstall that seal. I find that heating up the piston as well as the seal helps quite a bit because it helps to keep the seal warm where it's making contact. A little more pliable, at least in theory. That's what I'm expecting it to be. Sometimes it works better at the edge of the table. I've got that nice rounded edge on the side of my workbench, and I just kind of rotate the piston as I put pressure onto that seal. Try to spin it down into its position. It's a little bit difficult. It can be a chore, but keep at it and it'll finally go into place. Now we're going to apply a little bit of the moly paste, both to the sides of the piston seal as well as to each one of those buttons. This will ensure a nice friction-free glide for that piston as it goes back and forth inside the compression tube. Now it's time to fit the piston back into the receiver. Take your time here. You don't want to force things because you can tear the piston seal. So we're going to go nice and easy. Try to keep the slot in the piston aligned with the slot in the receiver. That's important. You'll notice I'm holding the leading edge of that seal down as I push forward, and that helps to keep that edge from getting caught on the sharp metal edge of that cocking slot. A short dowel will allow me to push that piston home. I'll use a small screwdriver just to align that slot a little bit better. Basically just a finishing touch here so that I can get that cocking rod in when the time comes. Now it's time to apply a little bit of clear grease or clear tar to the spring. This will help to eliminate any vibration, but it's mainly just to add some lubrication to that spring. Now when a spring compresses and expands, it rotates a little bit as the as the spring expands, it unwinds a little. So if you can picture that in your head. So that creates a little bit of torque on the ends of the piston where the top hat and the spring guide are installed. So we're going to put a little moly paste on the faces of each of those, on the face of the spring guide as well as on the top hat. Now off camera I went ahead and re-greased both bearings on the side of the breech block as well as the hole that the pivot pin goes through. I used a little bit of moly paste there, and you can see that I'm also applying some moly to the cocking shoe portion of the cocking lever. Now the piston is installed and the slot is lined up, so now we're just installing the cocking arm. Then we can line up the hole again in the breech block within the forks of the tube. Once it's in place, you can go ahead and reinstall that pivot pin. And as I mentioned in the first video, that pin has a hole right through the center of it that allows you to run the cross bolt through, and on the opposite side of the cross bolt is a flange nut that helps to keep everything secure. There's a very small washer that goes under the head of that bolt. We'll put that in first. Then we'll run the bolt in. There's a small spanner nut, oh, another washer, excuse me, and then a small spanner nut. Just hold that into place, and I screw the screw down. I find that I don't need to remove the spanner nut if I do it in this fashion. When I take the screw out and when I put it back in, I just hold that spanner nut in place with my finger, and I do all the work from the other side with the screwdriver. Close the action. Now we're ready to put the spring back inside the tube. Trigger housing goes in next, but you'll find that there's quite a bit of spring force there, so we're going to take it to the spring vise, and we're going to go ahead and install those pins once we get everything lined up. Back at the bench, we'll put the cap back on the rear of the receiver. We'll drop the action back into the stock. We'll reinstall all the screws and torque them down nice and snug, and the job is complete. Okay, time for the big test. Let's see what the results are over the chronograph. We'll take 5 shots, then we'll take an average. We'll give you the spread and the energy. These are H&N Field Target Trophy pellets. They come in at 14.66 grains. And across the chronograph, we're getting 716 feet per second. Oh, don't want to use my right hand. I told you in some previous videos that I'm having a little trouble with my right shoulder, so I've been cocking my rifles with my left hand while I give the right shoulder a break. Shot number 2. 715. Not too bad. I'm not sure we made any more power than before, but that's okay. Really, the objective here was to smooth out the shot cycle and get rid of that buzz, and we were able to do that. So, very pleased with the results. Shot number 3. 717. Now keep in mind, this is a brand new kit. The piston seal has to seat itself in. The spring has to take its set. And the gun has to basically break in. Shot number 4. 714. Very consistent. That's awesome. That's really nice. That usually points to a very accurate rifle. And shot number 5. 712. Alright, so we'll put up the average. You'll see the spread, the muzzle energy, as well as the average velocity. And we'll compare that to how it was before. And you can see for yourself, I don't believe it's too much of a difference, although you guys are seeing the numbers before I am. But I'm going to call that a success. And whenever we have success here on the Pellets and Pistons Airgun channel, we reach out there at 60 yards and we ring the bell. And I'm going to be doing that with open sights, so it may take me a couple of tries. These old eyes don't like open sights too much. I'll cheat, I'll use the bag. And let's see if we can hit that bell from here. Oh yeah, those 22 caliber pellets sure do pack a wallop, don't they? So I want to thank you folks for stopping by the Pellets and Pistons Airgun channel. If you haven't subscribed already, please do that. Hit the bell if you'd like to be reminded of future videos, and by all means, give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this one. Thanks again, folks, and have a great day.